Hi, good morning, everyone. In the last previous video, we seen that how we implement the data warehouse. Now we see that efficient methods for data cube computation. So, which type of methods we use to store the data, and we are having almost 11 types here. So, by using these methods, we have to store the data into the data cube implement computation. Here, we are having this is the description about the data cube computation. Here we see one first point here. This is efficient computation of data cubes is a crucial task here. It means it enables fast querying and analysis for multidimensional data. And also the data cube here, it organizes data across multiple dimensions, not only single direction. We can get the data in the multiple. What is cube of first of all? A cube is nothing which has some length, some width, and some height. So the cube can be seen in the all formats. Means if we take the three-dimensional cube, we can get the data in the form of three-dimensional. So that's why the data cube organizes data across multiple dimensions. So we store the data into the data cube. So how we get the data? By using the operations we have: slicing, dicing, roll up. And by using those operations, we perform the complex queries like aggregations, roll up, and drill down. Here we use this efficient computation method to optimize and performance while managing storage and processing overheads. So how we use the optimization techniques, how we store the data and easily, and how we get the data very fastly, and these kind of things will comes under the efficient computation. And we are having some the efficient cube computations. We'll see one by one. So first one, we are having multi-way array aggregation. They are having multi-way array aggregation. What it does? The multi-way array aggregation is minimizing the redundant computations. Here, it minimizes the duplications. Means redundant means duplications. So by using the multi-array computations, we can reduce the duplicates, and we can reduce some things. Okay, here we see it uses multi-dimensional array to store and data, and it aggregates. So it sums the data, and it all the directions in different dimensions. So it aggregates the data. So here steps we take so that partition the cube into smaller chunks, and we aggregate the data as per the chunk independently. And after the aggregating each chunk, we are combining the results, and we build the final cube. What is the advantage of this? The advantage is it minimizes the disk IO and suitable for dense data set. What is dense data set here? A data set which contains not null values. So that is called as dense data set. Okay, we are having another approach. So before that, we go for an example here. So here, considering the sales data with dimensions, we are having product, month, and store. So here, instead of calculating the total repeatedly, so that multi-array aggregation computes and aggregates like total sales by product, month, and store. So in one process. So this is saves the time first of all, and improve the performance when data is large for the dense data sets. This is an example. And next we go with the bottom up computation. In the bottom up computation, we starts from the most detailed level, means base cuboid. We are having base cuboids, and we start the computation from the base level, and it gradually computes to higher level. So from base level to it computes to higher level of aggregates, and it ensures complete cube computation. So from base level to high level, and it ensures total computation. And also it has high computational cost. It has the disadvantage of which is this is we are having high computational cost, and for large data set, because we are starting from the bottom to higher na, so we are computing each and every level. That's why it has the high computation levels. The advantage of this is we are computing this cuboid systematically, and we get the data easy in a proper manner without skipping anything. Okay, next we are having, so we are having a example like this. We are having sales data recorded in daily for each product in each store. So we are computing daily sales. We take daily sales as the base cuboid, and we are aggregating into monthly, and we are aggregating into yearly. So this level of summary is computed like in the bottom up computation. Next, we are having top-down computation. So here, top-down computation, it begins with the higher level. It begins with the higher level, and summary aggregates. It's all the summary aggregates, and it's drilled down to finer levels. Means coming from the top higher level, and it's coming to the drill down to finer level. And also, this is suitable. It is suitable for when summary queries are frequent. So same queries we are repeating for that which is suitable. The disadvantage of this is it is less efficient because in sharing intermediate results, so it may miss the opportunities to optimize the shared company. Means whatever the intermediate results, this is less efficient in the top-down computation. Next, we are having an example for this. A company wants to yearly total sales first, and then it drill down to state-wise and city-wise. This kind of drill down, and this is the detailed data is computed only when needed. So this is an example for the top-down. So another method we are having a priori method. So here it's inspired by the association rule mining. So it's inspired by association rule mining. So what is the meaning of association rule mining? Means a frequent item combination. Means if we went for any supermarket, we get the bread butter in the same row. So like that, they will arrange that kind of rule is called as association rule. Okay, and it identifies frequently query dimension combinations. It identifies what is the steps here. It identifies frequently query dimension combinations, and it prunes the unnecessary data. It prunes the unnecessary data. Means it prunes unnecessary cuboids here. So it computes only required aggregation. It computes only required. So the unnecessary data it prunes, and only it computes only required aggregations. So means it reduces overall computation cost. What is the advantage of this? It reduces overall computation cost. This is the a priori method, and we're having next method is partition cube computation. So before that, we see this example here. So user frequently queried product year or region year of sales. So queries like product day store is are rarely requested. So the a priori method in what will do? So the only frequently requested cuboids it computes. It doesn't compute this rarely requested queries, and unusual cuboids also it will skip. So next thing is partition cube computation. So what is partition? Means we seen here that divides the data cube into smaller subcubes. So what will do this partition cube? It divides the data cube into the smaller subcubes, and each subcube is computed independently. Here we are dividing, and each subcube is computing independently as well as parallelly, and also it supports major thing is it supports parallel computation or parallel processing. So highly scalable for the large data sets. It is highly this partition cube computation highly scalable for the large data sets, and used in Hadoop and Spark environment. This partition cube computation, or we are using applications like Hadoop and Spark environment. So this is about the partition cube computation. Is we see this example for this sales data is divided by region. It can be north, south, and east and west. Each region cube is computed on different servers here. Each cube is we are having north region, south region, east region, west region. So we are computing in a different server. All the results from all regions we are combining, and the cube computation becomes much faster. This is about the partitioned cube computation. Next, we are having materialized view. Materialized view. This is a one type of computation, and here we see pre-computes commonly used aggregates. It pre-computes commonly used aggregates and stores results for faster query execution. So, and it stores the results for faster query execution. And what happened then? Whenever you are storing for faster query execution, it automatically reduces query response time. It reduces the query response time. So it requires additional storage because we are pre-computing now. So we are having additional storage. So we are having a selection of use. We use here algorithms like greedy or lattice based selection to determine which aggregates to materialize. And we are having here incremental updates. So it efficient for updating materialized views when the base data changes. When the data is changes, that materialized view can be updated. So here it needs maintenance during the data. What is the advantage here? It reduces the query computation, but it needs maintenance for during data updates. And the disadvantage by using the material means storage intensive, means it creates more storage for the by using the materialized views. So for example, we are having here a company frequently queries only monthly sales by product, so we can compute this aggregation by using user stores as a materialized view. And when the query runs, results is fetched directly from this materialized view and no recalculation needed. So that's why here query response is very fast. Only disadvantage is here that we are having storage is more. And here we are having another thing is bitmap indexing. So here in the bitmap indexing uses bitmap indexes for dimensions, and we are using bitmap indexes for the dimensions, and we speed up filtering and aggregation. We speed up the filtering and aggregation in the bitmap, and efficient for low cardinality attributes. It is efficient for the low cardinality. What is the meaning of low cardinality? Means smaller number of distinct values. Means if we take the example as sex, male or female, so we are having that's kind of a cardinality we called as male or female. Only we are having two options. Those kind of attributes we are calling low cardinality attributes. So it's less effective for high cardinality data. Okay, this is about the bitmap indexing. We see the example here. We are having an attribute has gender, in that we are having only male and female. So bitmap for male is 10110, bitmap for female is 01001. So total sales for male customers means it results obtained quickly by using this bitmap. So this kind of thing comes under the bitmap indexing. We are having a bottom up computation. Next one. So here it recursive cube computation method, which is a recursive cube computation method, and it computes only non-empty cells, non-empty cells in the cuboids. It computes only non-empty cells in the cuboids, and it prunes empty or irrelevant cuboids. What will happen? It prunes the empty and irrelevant cuboids, and very effective for sparse data sets. It is very BUC, means bottom up computation is very useful for the sparse. The sparse data sets we are having null values in empty cells, and that's why it computes only non-empty cuboids. It only computes non-empty cuboids, so that's why it is efficient for the sparse data set. In the sparse data set we are having more null values, more empty values. That's why it is efficient for the sparse data sets for this BUC algorithm. So for example, we see sales data contains many unused product in store. If combination, we are having unused product store combination. This BUC computes aggregates only the where sales exist. If the sales exist, then only it aggregates, and it combination with zero sales are ignored. So if we are having sales as zero, it will ignore, and the cube computation become faster and smaller. Okay, this BUC algorithm is used for the very effective user for the sparse data sets. And we are having the parallel cube computation. So here distributes the cube computation across multiple processor and uses here the method is called divide and conquer method, and it combines intermediate results, and it reduces overall computation time, and is suitable for very large data warehouse. So the parallel cube computation uses divide and conquer method for the partition the data and compute the and in parallel way, and aggregate intermediate results are combined and in the final queue. So the advantage of this, it is highly scalable and reduces computation time for massive data sets. It is useful for the very large data warehouse. We take an example here. We are having a retail company of million of transactions, Here data is split in multiple servers, and each server computes the partial cube aggregates, and all partial results are merged into one cube. That's why this parallel cube computation is very useful for the large data sets. And this we are having 10th one, dynamic cubing. So here cube is generated based on query requirement and avoid full cube materialization. Here if in the dynamic cube, what will happen? Here the cube is generated based on the query requirement. So what happens then? It avoids full cube materialization, and also it saves the storage. It saves the storage, and it increases the response time for complex uh, query. So here, when we are we are giving the schema very crucial or very uh, complicated, then it increases the query response time for complex aggregation. It saves memory, but the disadvantage is the schema is very complex. Then it takes the more response time. This is about the dynamic cubing. We see the example for this. The sales of the laptops in the 2024 in South region we need. So the system dynamically computes only the that cube portion only, and no need to store the full cube. Only go for the 2024, and it takes the sales of the laptops in the South region. So there is no need to store the full cube, and it saves the space but takes more computation time, and it has to go to the cube, and it goes to slice the 2024 and get the data of sales of laptops. So it takes the more computation time. Okay, this is an example for the dynamic cubing. We are having data cube computation. This is the last one, and it uses the sparse representation. It uses a sparse representation or compression techniques. It uses the sparse representation and compression techniques. It reduces the cube size and improves the storage efficiency. And whenever reduce the cube size, improves the storage efficiency, and it speed up the computation and access. So this is a save the storage space and speed up the computation. This is about the data cube compression. The simple example is a sales cube has many combinations with zero cells. Instead of storing all combinations, only non-zero cells are entries are stored, and the cube size becomes smaller and faster to process. Here we are having this efficient cube computation, improves OLAP query performances, and no single method is best for all cases. And we have to get the choices here. Choice depends on the data size, sparsity, and query patterns. The hybrid approach gives better performance in the practice. This is about the efficient methods for data cube computations. Thank you. Please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.